அப்போது கழட்டினது அந்த திருப்பினது தான் வருது. கேமரா திருப்பினீங்கல்ல, அது இன்னும் வரல. ஒரு நிமிஷம் இருங்க, இருங்க இருங்க. ஆ அப்போது கழட்டினது அந்த திருப்பினது தான் வருது. கேமரா திருப்பினீங்கல்ல, அது இன்னும் வரல. ஒரு நிமிஷம் இருங்க, இருங்க இருங்க. ஆ அப்போது கழட்டினது அந்த திருப்பினது தான் வருது. கேமரா திருப்பினீங்கல்ல, அது இன்னும் வரல. ஒரு நிமிஷம் இருங்க, இருங்க இருங்க. ஆ அப்போது கழட்டினது அந்த திருப்பினது தான் வருது. கேமரா திருப்பினீங்கல்ல, அது இன்னும் வரல. ஒரு நிமிஷம் இருங்க, இருங்க இருங்க. ஆ அப்போது கழட்டினது அந்த திருப்பினது தான் வருது. கேமரா திருப்பினீங்கல்ல, அது இன்னும் வரல. ஒரு நிமிஷம் இருங்க, இருங்க இருங்க. ஆ அப்போது கழட்டினது அந்த திருப்பினது தான் வருது. கேமரா திருப்பினீங்கல்ல, அது இன்னும் வரல. ஒரு நிமிஷம் இருங்க, இருங்க இருங்க. Hello, 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 test.
Hello, testing. Hello, testing. Hello, hello. Hello, testing. Hello, testing. Testing. Hello, mic testing. Hello, 1, 2, 3, check. Hello. Okay. Hello, mic testing. Hello, 1, 2, 3, check. Hello.
A very good morning to one and all present here. I extend a warm and cordial welcome to our respected Chancellor, distinguished dignitaries, esteemed faculty members, researchers, and dear students. It is my privilege to welcome you all to this expert lecture organized by Savita Medical College Hospital, SIMATS. Today's lecture focuses on a fascinating topic about the Nobel Prize. The Nobel Prize in Medicine represents the highest recognition for the scientific discovery, honoring researchers whose work has transformed medicine and improved countless lives across the globe. To begin this auspicious occasion, I request everyone to kindly rise for the Tamil Taiwan. Thank you. Kindly be seated. To formally welcome this August gathering, may I now invite our respected Dean, Dr. J. Kumada Ma'am, to deliver the welcome address.
Good morning, one and all. Respected founder and chancellor, sir. Respected vice chancellor, sir. Respected director, madam, CMATS engineering. Respected registrar, sir. And our respected chief guest, and all the faculties and the students and the researchers who are gathered here. I have a pleasant duty of delivering this welcome address for an important lecture which is going to happen in CMATS University, which is how to procure the Nobel Prize, how a person has to work hard, and how does a Nobel laureate is different from whatever people like us. So that is the lecture we are going to have. And so I warmly welcome our respected founder and chancellor, sir, who's been always with us, important support and pillar for all the activities we do in our college and the university. Thank you, sir, in your busy schedule allotting time for us. And also, I welcome the chief guest, Dr. Sanjeevi, senior scientist, who's been also associated with the Nobel Prize Committee and who is also working as a professor of medicine and physiology in Karolinska Institute, Stockholm, Sweden. And again, we are very happy to welcome you here, sir, for sharing your thoughts on how to procure or how to achieve the highest zenith of research, that is Nobel Prize. Thank you very much, sir. And in fact, sir, for a timing of 10, he was sharp here at 9:30. And he was wanting all the audiovisual, everything to be perfect. So that is what we need in research also, to have the concept right and also do the experiment right and get the results, maybe whatever is the result, and project it the right way. So thank you very much, sir, for being here. And I welcome our Vice Chancellor, sir, who was also instrumental in getting our chief guest speaker for the day today, for his continued support here. Thank you, sir. And I welcome also Madam Ramya Madam, CMATS Engineering, who said, why you people only in medicine would be talking about Nobel Prize? We engineers are the one who are working with us. Really, we appreciate and acknowledge that, madam. But for you in medical world, all the equipments and devices would not have come. Welcome, madam, for your presence here. And also, I welcome Registrar Madam again, who's been the pillar of support for all the activities which is happening in our college and the university. And also, I welcome all the faculty members who have been guiding all the students to do the research, not only in academic and clinical excellence, but also in research activity. And also the researchers of the university who have been the nucleus for the research activity of this university, and whom we expect at some point period to be a Nobel laureate. That is our Pro-Chancellor's vision. In one of the meetings, he said if one candidate from our college or university gets a Nobel laureate, he said that would be his life mission, which is achieved. So all the researchers and all the young budding scholars and students who would be tomorrow's researchers and also tomorrow's Nobel laureates perhaps, and one and all, thank you for giving me this opportunity to give you the welcome address. Once again, I welcome each and everyone who's in this hall. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I now invite our respected Vice Chancellor, Dr. Ashwani Kumar sir, to kindly felicitate our Honorable Founder and Chancellor, Dr. N.M. Veerayan sir. A big round of applause, please. Thank you, sir. As a mark of respect and gratitude, we shall now felicitate our chief guest, Professor Dr. C.B. Sanjeevi, sir. I invite our respected Honorable Chancellor, Dr. N.M. Veerayan, sir, to kindly felicitate our distinguished guest, Professor C.B. Sanjeevi, sir. Thank you, dignitaries. May I now invite our Honorable Founder and Chancellor, Dr. N.M. Veerayan, sir, to deliver the Chancellor's address. Over to you, sir.
Good morning to all. Distinguished guests, faculty members, researchers, students, and healthcare professionals. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to this prestigious expert lecture organized by Savita Medical College. Today, we are privileged to host Professor Sanjeevi, Senior Scientist, Department of Medicine, Karolinska Institute, Stockholm, Sweden. The Karolinska Institute occupies a unique place in the world of medical sciences as it is closely associated with the selection process for the Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine. On behalf of the entire Savitri family, I extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to the Professor Sanjeevi and express our sincere gratitude for accepting our invitation. The Nobel Prize is universally regarded as the highest recognition of the scientific achievements. Every year, the world celebrates individuals whose discoveries have transformed medicine and improved human life. Yet many of us often wonder how are the Nobel laureates selected? What distinguishable them from thousands of brilliant scientists across the world? What qualities, virtues, and contributions make them truly exceptional? These questions are especially relevant to our students, researchers, and young faculty members. Understanding of Noble journey teaches us that groundbreaking discoveries do not happen overnight. They are the result of curious, hard work, perseverance, scientific integrity, creativity, and a lifelong commitment to advancing knowledge for the benefit of humanity. At Savita, we strongly believe that research and innovations are the foundation of academic excellence and social progress. Our vision extends beyond producing graduates. We aim to nurture innovators, scientists, entrepreneurs, and leaders capable of making meaningful contribution to the global healthcare and scientific advancement. I am proud to share that Savita has emerged as one of the India's leading research-oriented universities. Our faculty and researchers have produced more than 54,532 publications indexed in Scopus and 32,411 publications indexed in the Web of Science database, demonstrating the depth and breadth of our scholarly contribution across medicine, dentistry, engineering, pharmacy, nursing, allied health sciences, and emerging technologies. Our commitment to innovation is equally remarkable. Savita has filed 5,347 patents and achieved 5,124 patent publications, reflecting a vibrant ecosystem in the intellectual property creation, translation research, and technological innovation. These achievements highlight our determination to transform research outcomes into solutions that benefit society and the industry. Further, strengthening of our research credentials, 112 Savita faculty members have been recognized among the world's top 2 scientists in the Stanford Elsevier rankings, placing Savita among the leading research performing universities in India. These accomplishments demonstrate our commitment to fostering excellence in research, innovation, and knowledge creation at the global level. As India advances towards becoming a global leader in science, technology, and healthcare, institutions like Savita have a responsibility to create an environment where transformative discoveries can flourish. The next breakthrough that changes the course of medicine may emerge from a laboratory, clinic, or research centers in our country. Our role is to inspire young minds to think confidently, challenge extending boundaries, and pursue excellence without limits. I encourage all our students, researchers, and faculty members to make the most of this rare opportunity. Listen carefully, engage actively, ask thoughtful questions, and draw inspirations from the experience and wisdom that Professor Sanjeevi will share today. The Nobel Prize reminds us that every great discovery begins with a question, is sustained by years of dedication, effort, and ultimately serves humanity. At Savita, we are committed to nurturing that spirit of inquiry, innovation, and service. We hope that the next generation of all transformative discoveries, perhaps the future Newman laureates, will emerge from the institutions like ours, dedicated to advancing science and improving lives across the current world. Once again, I extend my heartfelt welcome to Professor Sanjeevi and thank our Vice Chancellor, Registrar, Dean, faculty members, students, and organizing team for making this important academic event possible. I wish this expert lecture a great success and hope it inspires new ideas, new collaborations, and new aspirations among all of us. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, respected sir. Your words continue to remind us that great institutions are built through vision, perseverance, and deep commitment to society. May I now invite our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Ashwini Kumar sir, to formally introduce our esteemed guest speaker. Over to you, sir.
Honorable Chancellor, sir, the chief guest of today's great event and a great visionary and internationally recognized personality, Professor Sanjeevi Karani, sir, Registrar Madam, Dean Madam, our respected Director Madam, professors, HODs from different departments and different colleges, researchers, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure in introducing to you Professor Karani. Professor C.B. Sanjeevi is a senior scientist at the Department of Medicine at the Karolinska Institute in Stockholm, Sweden. He heads the Diabetes Immunology Research Group at the Center for Molecular Medicine at the Karolinska University Hospital in Stockholm. Karolinska Institute selects the Nobel Prize Committee for Physiology and Medicine each year. And we are very proud as Indians that Dr. Sanjeevi is associated with Nobel Prize Committee at Karolinska Institute since the year 2013. Professor Sanjeevi also nominates candidates for Nobel Prize for Physiology and Medicine as well as Nobel Prize for Peace each year. You can imagine that very few great personalities in the world are trusted to select two prizes, Nobel Prizes. One is for Physiology and Medicine and second for Peace Prize. And it is really a great achievement in one's life and career that one is trusted internationally to be able to nominate these two great Nobel Prizes. We are very proud of you, sir. Professor Sanjeevi was the Vice Chancellor of Sri Satya Sai Institute in Higher Learning in Puttaparthi, India from November 2019 to November 2022 during COVID period, most of it. And he has won many, many awards. The important one was Pravasi Bharatiya Samman Award for 2017, which he received from the President of India, Shri Pranab Mukherjee. It is the highest award given by the Government of India to persons of Indian origin for their excellence in different fields, and he received it in the field of medicine. Dr. Sanjeevi has delivered several orations in India and abroad. Notable ones are Professor M. Vishwanathan Memorial Oration, Professor Sam G.P. Moses Oration, and Professor B.P. Tripathi Memorial Oration at Research Society for the Study of Diabetes, India, at different times. Professor Sanjeevi has edited series of volumes of the Annals of New York Academy of Sciences entitled Immunology of Diabetes. In addition, Dr. Sanjeevi serves in the editorial board of several journals and has extensively published in peer-reviewed medicinal journals. It is my great pleasure in introducing to you Professor C.B. Sanjeevi sir. Sanjeevi Karni sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, the stage is now set for the most awaited session of the morning. It gives me immense pleasure to invite Professor C.B. Sanjeevi to deliver his expert lecture on how do we decide and award the Nobel Prize for Medicine and what makes the laureate special. Sir, we request you to kindly address the gathering.
Respected Chancellor, respected Vice Chancellor, respected Dean, respected Registrar, dear faculty members and students, it gives me a great pleasure to be invited to this prestigious medical institution to give a talk which I always cherish. It takes a lot of effort to be one of the recipients of the Nobel Prize. And I will tell you what people have done and how they have won the Nobel Prizes. So thank you very much, sir, for inviting me to give this lecture, and it gives me great pleasure to do so. So I come from Karolinska Institute, but I belong to Chennai. I was born and brought up here. I was a student of Madras Medical College. And I've now been at Karolinska Institute since 1989. And I had never missed a single Nobel Prize lecture from that year onwards. So to be in a hall like this where the Nobel Prize lecture is given gives enormous motivation and a feel of importance. So I might narrate few stories about how various laureates had shared their experience towards the discovery and then to the award. Next. So Karolinska Institute in Stockholm is a medical university. Even though it says institute, it's a medical university. And it was established in 1810. So it's something like 216 years old. And the institute since 1901 selects and awards the Nobel Prize for Medicine. Even though we are a medical university, we offer medicine, dentistry, and nursing at undergraduate, postgraduate level, and doctoral level. And that constitutes only 20% of the university activity, education part. The remaining 80% is research. We focus hugely on research because we are one of the top 5 universities in the world. The Karolinska Hospital is ranked number 4 in the world, and Johns Hopkins comes only after Karolinska Hospital. If you look at what is 80% that is being done as research, the scientists at the Karolinska Institute raise all the money for the research. So we raise something like $1 billion a year for research from various funding agencies. And the institution provides the support in terms of infrastructure and for core facilities. So if we are putting $1 billion on research, something should come out of it. The stuff that comes out of it could be new ideas, new technologies, new platforms in terms of vaccine or so many different things, new diagnostics. And we need a structure to take all these ideas and innovations forward. There's a very interesting law passed in the Swedish parliament that says that the person who makes the discovery owns the discovery, not the institution. So institution facilitates the scientist to make the discovery into a patent into a company, and house the company in the science park that we have, and also provide venture capital support for the companies. So it's not easy to get selected. If there are 105 ideas that are presented to the Karolinska Innovations Private Limited, maybe 5 or 10 get selected. So it's like a huge funnel where ideas go in and the patent comes out and the patent is made into a company. So there is an innovation pipeline, which is what I was going to refer to. And this goes on year by year by year. And we don't want to do anything that is repeating somebody else's work. So everything that we do is something. For the first time, we ask scientific questions that for which we do not know the answer. So that's how we proceed. So you can see as soon as you enter the building, which is the entrance here, the one building immediately to the left is this building called Nobel Forum. Nobel Forum looks like a ground floor and a first floor, but what you will not see is there are 3 floors under the ground. So this is where the Nobel Committee needs to decide, debate, and then announce the prize. So what is there in the underground 3 floors? It's all the Nobel archives. So every nomination that was made from 1901, they're all stored there. By law, we are not allowed to release any information that was there the last 50 years. So if anything should become public, it should have been more than 50 years ago. That too, the release is not made openly, but people have to ask question. I need to look at this, look at that, and if there are academic reasons to look at that, they will release those documents. So this is the Nobel Forum, and inside, once you enter the door and go inside, there's a long corridor, and there is a room at the end of the corridor. It's an auditorium like this, where each year, on the first Monday of October, the Nobel Prize is announced. Always, it doesn't matter which date it is. First Monday of October, the medicine prize is announced, followed by the physics prize, chemistry prize, literature prize, peace prize, and the Monday after is the economics prize. And of course, you have Alfred Nobel sitting there. And on the first floor, somewhere here in this first floor, is a huge hall with a circular table that can seat 40 people. And that's where all the discussions, debates happen. That's where the decision is made. Sometimes it's like your football match, that's going on right now. You have semi-finals, finals, and things like that. So some of the ideas will move up. And there are 2 or 3 ideas. We need to decide which one is the one that should get the prize. Maybe one of them is the much better idea, so the people in the committee will vote. So here, some ideas will make it to the top, but will not really get the award of the Nobel Prize. And one thing that is important to know is if somebody is dead, he cannot receive the Nobel Prize. So we do not give the prize posthumously. if somebody is alive when the announcement is made and died before the award of the prize happens, that's okay. They can be called Nobel laureate, but they will not be physically there to receive the prize. But before the announcement of the prize, if somebody dies, they will not be eligible to receive the prize. And I have some inside information from the archives on why Mahatma Gandhi did not get the prize. So that's a very interesting story that would probably take up one full lecture. So, so there is a process that involves the selection of the Nobel Prize. Sometime in September, October, the process begins by the Secretary General of the committee sending out nominations. And the nominations are sent out approximately about 3,000 to all over the world. Most of the people who receive the nominations are Vice Chancellor of the universities or heads of the institutions. And even in India, some of the vice chancellors or the heads of institutions like ICMR or institutions like that receive the request to nominate. So it's an interesting story what happens to that paper that is received. Nowadays, we don't send papers, we send emails and ask them to nominate. And there is a procedure, of course. So this starts sometime with the nominations, the deadline. Many times we have nominations of the same person. Many times we have nominations of the same person made each year. Okay, you would never realize if I take the example of Mahatma Gandhi, he was nominated 12 times and he didn't make it. So it doesn't mean that if you nominate now this year, you will get it. So there is a process. Sometimes you make it to the top, sometimes you never get the prize. And if by bad luck some of those people die, they'll never get it. So when you look at it, the shortlist is prepared, and the people who are professors at Karolinska Institute who are associated with the Nobel Committee get to receive the nomination for review. If you are familiar with writing a research paper and submitting it for review, it's more or less similar. We get it and we have to do critical analysis and give a report. And we do it by hand. We don't trust the internet because somebody else can snoop in and see what comments we have made and things like that. So if somebody gets nominated in the successive years, some of the critical comments that were made in the previous years is also brought in to see what other critics have said. So we have a short list, then we have a review process after the critics have submitted their criticisms or positives or negatives. And if there are some areas where we really do not know what is the innovation, we get the expert in that area to come and give a talk. This is very important so that we do not want to make any mistake in choosing the wrong person. Or if somebody is very prominent, has done something, but somebody who really did that is not so prominent and hiding somewhere, we'll go and chase that person, find that person, give it to the person, not the guy who is prominent, but the guy who really did that work. Okay, I'll come to what makes it important. So, as I said, first Monday of October is when we announce the Nobel Prize. When we make the nominations, there are three things that are very, very, very important. The person whom we nominate, we can nominate up to 3 names in one discovery. The person who is nominated should have made the discovery or invention. That's very important. They must have made it. They must have been the first person in the world to have done it. And these people must have published their paper to be the first person to show that they have done it. Not only that, their discovery or invention should have benefited the mankind, which is what is there in Alfred Nobel's will. So you must have made a discovery or invention. You must have been the first person to have made the discovery or invention. And your discovery or invention should have benefited the mankind. Sometimes it will take 20 years, even 30 years to document the benefit of the discovery. Okay, so if you take the example of physics, Professor Paul Higgs hypothesized there is something called God particle, which they called it boson. And he made this theoretical prediction in 1959. But he won the Nobel Prize only around 2015 or 14. That's because it took that long to prove that there is God particle. Okay, this was because there's a very big reactor that was commissioned in France called CERN reactor, where they really documented the existence of God particle. We call it God particle as a uh, not a science, not a scientific name, but it's also called as boson, honoring the Bose who was from Calcutta. So these three are important, and we need to show that the benefit to mankind is important. So that's why many discoveries that were made, it takes a long time for them to get the prize. 30 years ago, the waiting time was probably 15 years from the discovery. Now it's almost 30 years because the number of discoveries have become too many. And we are not allowed to give more than 3 people for one discovery. And this is the case for all prizes, whether it's physics or chemistry or literature or other disciplines. So when the announcement is made on the first Monday of October, on 10th of December is when the Nobel Prize is actually given. Before that, there is a prize giving ceremony, and the few days before that is when the laureates come and deliver the Nobel Prize lecture. That's where we can go and sit in an auditorium like this, probably bigger, it can hold 1,200 people, and listen to them. Sometimes they talk science, sometimes they talk about what circumstances that led them to the discovery. You see, you might have the greatest discovery sitting on your table. You'll have to have the mind to see it. People say it's hiding in plain sight. Many times it has happened in many of the people that to realize there is a discovery, you need to have certain kind of background information in your mind. So the award ceremony is on 10th of December, and the whole week, starting from 1st of December, we call it Nobel Week. This intense Nobel Prize related activity. And the Stockholm is lit because in December it's going to be dark most of the day. Okay, sun rises at about 10:30 or so, and the sun sets at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So they have something called Nobel Lights to illuminate the city with themes from the discoveries of the Nobel Prize. So we have this Nobel Week where we celebrate the discoveries. And on the first Monday of October, this was done in 2005, and this gentleman, Hans Jornwall, was the Secretary General of the Nobel Prize Committee at that time. He is announcing the discovery. And this is what he will normally say. The Nobel Assembly at Karolinska Institute has today decided to award the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for 2005 to Barry Marshall and Robin Warren for the discovery of the bacterium Helicobacter pylori and its role in gastritis and peptic ulcer disease. So that is what is read out. So since it's a Swedish prize, the same text is read out first in Swedish and second in English. And of course, Alfred Nobel had been in a few different places in Europe. One was in Russia, and he was also in Italy. Sometimes the Secretary General also announces the award in Russian and Italian. So those are something interesting. And previously, the hall used to be full of people waiting to know who won the prize. Nowadays, we don't allow anybody. It's filled with cameras from different press and television that sends out the information in seconds to the world. So, to talk a little bit about the Alfred Nobel, this is the house where he lived in Stockholm. And this place is no longer there. And his father is Emmanuel Nobel, and his mother is Henrietta. And Emmanuel Nobel is a very fantastic inventor. He has invented and patented a lot of things. But these are all in the 1800s. And at that time also there is the passion to patent. Now we don't do that so much. Now it's getting more important. And what Emmanuel Nobel has done is he was the first one to discover or invent the underwater mines which were used to protect St. Petersburg at that time from ships coming and attacking the port. And he had a patent for that. And if you look at it, what was discovered that was very important was nitroglycerin in 1847. And this nitroglycerin led Alfred Nobel to mix nitroglycerin with kieselguhr to produce what is called as dynamite. And Alfred Nobel made all his money for dynamite. And the dynamite can be used for good reasons and for bad reasons also. And many people started to use it for bad reasons. So that is the basis for him to create the Peace Prize. But for the good reasons, you want to construct something, you want to blow a rock, you want to do a bridge, it has its own positive side. Anything we have has the good side and the bad side. So this is the patent he made at that time. In 1863. See, she mixed nitroglycerin with kieselguhr to produce. Now you have various forms of dynamite in various shapes and whatever. But in 1895, before his death, he had written his will, which is the basis for the entire Nobel Prize. And whatever he has said in the will, he has bequeathed several $1 billion in 1895. So you can imagine if to extrapolate that billions in today's time is probably more than what Elon Musk has. So that's the amount of money. And that kind of money is sitting with the Nobel Foundation, which not only selects and awards the Nobel Prizes, but they also put money in various institutions to create things that can help people do the discoveries. So this is the Alfred Nobel's will. You can see he has written things on the side of the paper also. And this is the medal that Alfred Nobel face is embossed for the medicine prize. There is little alteration for the chemistry prize, physics prize, etc. And if you see, it says in no case may a prize be divided between more than 3 people. So that's in this will. So by law, will becomes the law. So we cannot give for more than 3 people. When we divide the price, it could be 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, or 50%, 25%, 25%, like that. So this is one important thing. Second, he has written preceding year. In the entire history of Nobel Prize, there is only one prize that was given where the discovery was made in the previous year, the previous 12 months. That is the discovery of insulin in 1922 by Banting and MacLeod. No other prize is given. So they interpret this as, instead of preceding year, as preceding years. So that they have a bit of a long time to pick and choose the best ones to receive the prize. So the time between nomination and award of the prize is often correctly considered. But as I said, it's getting bigger and bigger between the discovery time and the prize. And what Alfred Nobel has written is that it should be for physiology or medicine. Because we still do not know how our body functions. We assume we know, but we don't. There are so many pathways that are still being discovered. Many of these pathways are highly relevant for disease development. So the knowledge of that will continuously grow, and we are living longer and longer. So what longer living leads to in terms of old age is another aspect that we are trying to find new things that can happen if you live longer. And there are people who say that you can live easily longer than 100 years, even up to 150 years. But my God, what can you do 150 years with the body that is not good enough, to cope with? And we need to know everything that how the body works in order to make that happen. So this is one of the important aspects of the will. And when you see some of the key people who were involved in the prize is Yuan Son was the chair of the Nobel Committee, who was, you can see the date from which 1918 to 26. Axel Key at the Karolinska Institute was instrumental, and Joran Liljestrand was the secretary of the Nobel Prize Committee from 1918 to 1960. Sometimes he goes to the place where the scientist who is nominated has done his work just to make sure, is he really done that? Sometimes somebody goes there very innocently trying to figure out what's happening just to make sure that the person who is nominated is actual discoverer, not somebody else. But this guy is taking the ownership or claim. There are a lot of people who claim ownership of somebody else's discovery. So he's been very instrumental in making it very powerful. When you look at the prizes, what is at the top is the Nobel Foundation. And they are the ones who sit on so many things. The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences decides the physics prize, chemistry prize, and economic prize. And Royal Swedish Academy is in Stockholm. Karolinska Institute selects and awards the physiology and medicine prize. The Swedish Academy decides the literature prize. All of them are very old institutions. And the Norwegian Nobel Committee decides the Peace Prize. Why is Norway? Because at that time, Norway and Sweden were more or less one country. So they gave it to Norway. And we don't want to know anything because those guys, the members of the Norwegian Nobel Prize Committee for Peace, are parliamentarians of the Norwegian parliament. If you look at the parliamentarians, you know how they act and behave. Sometimes some of the decisions they make are probably may not be the best decisions. But again, it goes through the voting. But one thing that you should thank the Norwegian committee is not to award the prize to Trump. Okay? So there was immense pressure. They resisted the pressure. And they went to the best person who deserves the prize. So this is where the Peace Prize is selected and awarded. But the most important thing from the will is for the greatest benefit of humankind. Previously, if you look at the will, it says mankind. Now we have to be gender neutral. We cannot say man, we'll have to include women. So it is humankind. So that becomes extremely important in terms of benefit of the discovery to the people. So after the prize is given, there is a banquet. And this is how the banquet was in 1901. And this always happens in concert hall in Stockholm. And it is same tradition, but the costume is also different, You have a penguin tail tuxedo. So the back part of the coat will go up to your knee, and the front part will stop more or less where it is, and you have to have a bow tie. Because the king is the host. So it's given on by the king to the people who win the prize. So this is how the concert hall looks like. And the green, or I don't know what is blue color, where you have the queen sitting, and the king has come forward to give the medal and the citation, and the princess is standing there. All the laureates are sitting on the first row, and they'll come forward, stand over the text that says Nobel Prize, take the award, bow to the audience, and then go backward. So the tradition is not to show you back to the king. And the king will also go back and sit. And each time when they bow to the audience stands up and gives applause. I can call it ovation. Some people have got the ovation that will never stop, And these guys will be crying on the stage when the ovation continues. Here is Jim Allison, who is receiving the prize from the king. And Jim was the first guy to have discovered what is called as checkpoint inhibitors, which manipulate the immune system and it cures the cancer. Cures. That's the most important word. And this is the lady, Catherine Carico, who was the one who discovered the RNA platform that helped make the COVID vaccine. There was some other guy in Harvard claiming, I did it. When we investigated, he didn't do it. She was the first one to do it. And there's a huge story behind it. And there are a lot of stories that will inspire a lot of people. And as far as I know, when she received the prize and turned to the audience, she received the most standing ovation. She didn't know whether to stay or go back to her seat, Nobody was sitting down in the audience while they were clapping. So when they received the citation, this is how the citation looks like. And here you can see Kathleen Carico mentioned, along with Drew Weissman. Drew Weissman is the one who shared the Nobel Prize with Kathleen Carico. Drew Weissman, when he receives his citation, his name will appear in big and Kathleen Carico will appear small. And the chairman of the committee will have his signature put there. So this is the citation. It's a hardbound, folded and given to them along with the medal. And the medal is what the king puts on the neck of the award winner. And I have a medal here that is not real, but it is real in appearance. So this is what the medicine award winners get. I can share it with the chancellor later. So this is the citation. And on 7th of December each year, the medicine laureate gives the medicine Nobel Prize lecture at the Karolinska Institute. So it's quite a big thing. And immediately after, they had a reception hosted by the president of Karolinska Institute to the laureates. So the faculty at Karolinska Institute go mix with them, talk to them and things like that. Sometimes it looks like the wedding reception where the bride and bridegroom stand, everybody queues up and goes, shakes their hands or gives them here. They do the same thing, but they shake their hands. Maybe there is a photo taken and then they go and get their wine glasses. As I said, this is the discovery that won the Nobel Prize, where the discovery was within 12 months of the discovery, of the prize, in the last 12 months. And this is a fantastic story. A Nobel laureate went to his lab, saw what he has done, felt that he has made a great discovery. And if a Nobel laureate makes the nomination, it will not be sent to two reviewers. One reviewer is enough because he himself is recommending. That means it has to be very good. So his recommendation is taken as one critique. So they won the prize for the discovery of insulin. And that is a very nice book, or some of you who are interested in medicine could get that book, The Discovery of Insulin, by Michael Bliss. So it should be available, and you can search it in the Amazon. But now we have internet, and if you look at it, this one, in 1915, we have to send a telegram. The telegram will go and reach them 3 days later, 4 days later. And this guy, Robert Barani, who made the discovery for vestibular apparatus, received a telegram like this, which is reproduced here, several days later, saying you have won the Nobel Prize. Now, next minute, next second, we know, moment it is announced. So this is how the communication happened. For his work on pathology of vestibular apparatus. Now I'll go to some of the interesting award winners. So Joseph Murray and Donald Thomas won the Nobel Prize in 1990. I was there, sitting in the hall, listening to their Nobel Prize lecture. It's absolutely fascinating. Joseph Murray was the first man to have done the kidney transplantation, first person. So it makes it special. 3 weeks before he came to Karolinska Institute to give the lecture, the first patient was still alive. Unfortunately, the patient died just 3 weeks before. Otherwise, he had already invited the person, please come. And when he's giving this talk, he paused in the middle of a talk and called out a name and asked them, can you please stand up? And it is a very old man, maybe 88, 89. He was struggling to get up and stand, and he didn't know why his name is being called. And Joseph Murray said, "This man was the one who gave me permission to do the first renal transplantation." He was the chief of surgical staff. And that guy took more than 6 months to decide, should he go ahead and give the permission or not? Is it good for the hospital or not? Has he done enough studies? What if this thing fails? It will spoil the reputation of the hospital, Those were his thoughts. And he said, if this man hadn't given the permission, I wouldn't be standing in front of you and talking. Because somebody else would have discovered first, because time doesn't wait, For him, he was the first person to do it. And it's so important for us to know you might have done the best discovery. Your boss has to be good to understand your discovery and make the recommendation or permit you to have the recognition. Sometimes it doesn't happen. Many times it doesn't happen, not sometimes. So he had the privilege of calling that chief of surgical staff to the Nobel Prize lecture and acknowledge his permission that led him to do the first renal transplantation. This is very interesting. Stanley Brusner was the first person to discover what is called as prions. Okay, this is smaller than virus particle. And everybody, his peers, thought he was a fool, idiot. He doesn't know anything. Those were his comments. And he sort of kept quiet. He said, okay, there's something called mad cow disease. I don't know whether you've read it. Suddenly people were dying. And poor cows, they're vegetarians. Okay? And these people who breed these cows gave chopped powdered meat as a feed for the cattle. Okay? And cows cannot say, this is non-vegetarian, I will not touch that. So they ate it. And that was infected the prions. And that had infected the brain of the cows. And now if you go and have a lovely hamburger, it tastes good. But it was not properly cooked meat there. And many people developed encephalopathy and died. And they found that it was prions. Now, all those guys who said he's an idiot, think he's a genius. Look at the small line between being an idiot and being a genius. You have to have a disease that should come and kill somebody in order to be recognized as a good contribution or discovery. But he won the prize for his discovery of prions, a new biological principle of infection. Okay. Now, if you look at Paul Lauderbater and Peter Mansfield, they were the ones who discovered CT scan and magnetic resonance. So if you keep thinking that it's for discovery of mechanism or discovery of a molecule or something like that, no. The prize is given for somebody who has come up with a technology that would help benefit them. Of course, they patented it. But if you take a magnetic resonance imaging machine, there are thousands of patents inside that machine. Every component is covered by a patent. But somebody who put it together and brought it to human use are these guys for MRI. And this is a fascinating story. They won the Nobel Prize in 2005. Barry Marshall and Robin Warren. When I was a medical student, if somebody had a peptic ulcer, the common procedure is do vagotomy. Open the abdomen, cut the vagus nerve, and they think that it will cure peptic ulcer. So in the surgical ward, at least 10 vagotomies will be performed. Then they became selective vagotomy. But nobody even thought what is the consequence of vagotomy because we never keep the data of the patients. So they are like your GLP-1 drugs now. When he came and said, no, peptic ulcer is because of bacteria, nobody believed. People called him idiot. Don't you know? We know more than you. You are coming and teaching us that it is peptic ulcer because of Helicobacter pylori. Nobody believed him. And he was led to desperation. Okay? What he did was, the broth that had Helicobacter pylori culture he drank it in desperation to prove he's correct. And when they put an endoscopy inside, it was clearly visible that all the changes in the peptic ulcer is seen there within a few days after the drinking of the broth. So he had firm belief in his discovery. All the criticism did not shake him. He continued, but in desperation, he has to prove he's right. And everybody thought he was crazy to drink the broth. He would have died. So the belief is very important. And there was even a cartoon made called Ulcer Tales that described in a cartoon how his whole discovery happened. So the passion is very important. The belief that you are right is important if you want to really make a mark. And here, Mario Capecchi, he won the Nobel Prize in 2007 for his discovery of principles of introducing specific gene modifications by the use of embryonic stem cells. During the Second World War time, he was actually begging on the streets of Rome, begging. Okay, that was the time when Mussolini and Alfred Germany, they really were doing horror to the world. His mother was taken, his father was taken and put in prison. The mother had left him in the hands of his friend, and that happened when they ran out of the money. The friend let the boy out, and when mother came out of the jail, she could not find him and found him begging in the streets. So the point I am trying to make here, a beggar can win the Nobel Prize. It just happened that his time has not come, and when the time came, he did the discovery that got him the prize. So my advice to you guys is that if you see a beggar, give some respect. Okay. And Ralph Steinman, very interesting. He did a phenomenal work on what is called dendritic cell, and he manipulated the dendritic cell to go and fight the cancer cells and kill the cancer cells. Great discovery. He was nominated several times. And in 2011, it was announced that he will win the Nobel Prize. Whenever the announcement is made on the first Monday, the Secretary General calls the laureate and tells you have won the Nobel Prize. And usually the call goes out of Stockholm at Swedish time 9:30 a.m. And if it is New York time, it is 3 o'clock in the morning or 3:30 in the morning. And of course, you'll have to wake them up from their bed. So the Secretary General called him several times and he didn't pick up the phone. After desperation, he called the Vice Chancellor of Rockefeller University, again waking him up at 3:30 in the morning and say, one of your faculty has won the prize. And he was extremely delighted. And he said, I'm so happy. And he tried to call in this man 3:30 in the morning. He could not reach this man also. Okay. They reached his daughter. Daughter didn't pick up the phone. And then they announced the prize. At 9:30, Ralph Steinman has won the Nobel Prize for Physiology and Medicine. Then suddenly press became very active. Said he's dead. How can you give the prize to a dead person? He died at 12 o'clock. Look at the fate. He would have died. Maybe he wouldn't have died if he had known he had won the Nobel Prize. The gap was 3.5 hours of life. But there's hue and cry, you cannot give it to a dead person. Usually when we make the announcement on Monday, if there is no other candidate competing, the previous Friday itself, the Nobel Committee will sign off saying he has won the prize. So they will meet for formal reason on Monday morning. So it turned out that they had already signed off on Friday that he should get the prize. At that time he was alive, so he should get the prize. So he's a Nobel laureate. His wife came and collected the prize. One of his senior postdoctoral researchers gave the Nobel Prize lecture. See, having done so much, he could have lived a little longer. Unfortunately, that did not happen. And this is an anecdote that I always like to share. Michael Bishop is this guy with the beard, and Harold Warmus is this guy, and they were very important discovery of retroviral oncogenes when they called. You know, in 1989, first Nobel Prize lecture that I attended when I went to Karolinska Institute is that when the Secretary General called, you know, you don't have cell phones at that time, okay? You have to call a landline. And usually when you have a phone at home, you also have an answering machine. Okay. The Secretary General called Michael Bishop. He didn't pick up the phone because it was morning, and he left a message saying, "You have won the Nobel Prize for Medicine." Okay. The call went to a home in Washington, D.C. Then he called Harold Warmus, was in San Francisco. That's 12:30 midnight. Okay. He picked up the phone. He was very happy that he won the Nobel Prize. He wanted to know who he is sharing it with. The Secretary General said he is sharing it with Michael Bishop. Oh, Michael Bishop is here with him. So they called the wrong Michael Bishop. Okay. Then the Secretary General called and said, "You have not got the Nobel Prize for Medicine." It's a little bit of a shame. And that guy, the wrong guy, came and said, "Look, you have a message. I have the message in the tape. Give me the prize." But he made it like a joke. He didn't really mean it. But these things can happen. Now we are very sure that when we nominate candidates, we want to make sure they put their correct mobile number so that it's easy for the Secretary General to call in case they win the prize. So this is an interesting anecdote. And this is still being resonated whenever we have some interesting meetings. And Frances Arnold won the chemistry prize. Very interesting lady. I met her a few times. And she started her career after her PhD as a taxi driver in Paris. Okay, she didn't get any job. She was driving taxis. Can you imagine what kind of clients she must have had? She must have, of course, gotten some abuse also. So, like a beggar, please give respect to your taxi drivers. Okay. So they could once be, in the future, be a Nobel laureate. And coming to John Goodenough, that's this guy who won the prize for discovering the lithium-ion batteries. The prize was announced and he was 97 years old. Can you imagine? One guy could not live for 3.5 hours to know the prize, and this guy has lived until 97 to get the prize. He's the oldest person to win the prize, and he died last year at the age of 100. So, what is happening? Is it your fate? If you have to get it, you'll have to get it. Okay, whether you're 97 or 60, it doesn't matter. So he won the prize at the age, I made this slide a little earlier. So he was 99 years old when that slide was made. And this is the fascinating story. Kathleen Carico, who was the person in 2023 who won the prize for her work on mRNA platform for making vaccine. And this platform was the one that helped make the COVID vaccine. And she's an Hungarian scientist trying to make life in America. She was in University of Pennsylvania. She didn't get any money. And you have to raise money to pay your salary in the research area. When she ran out of money, she decreased her salary so that she could continue to work. And in mRNA research at that time, there are not many research going on in the world. So, I don't know how many of you, do you still know there's something called photocopying machine? People still use photocopying machine. There in the library, you have a photocopying machine, a card reader. You get a card filled with 100 pages, 200 pages. Put the card like a credit card into a machine. Then the machine will allow you. And if you go to the library, there will be a long queue to get your favorite research paper photocopy. And while she was standing in the queue, the guy who was standing next to her was Drew Weissman. Instead of waiting, they started talking. And he said, "I am working on mRNA." And she said, "I am also working on mRNA." "Oh, then why don't we collaborate?" And they started to collaborate. And both of them won the Nobel Prize. So when you're standing in the queue, please don't keep quiet. Talk to somebody who is in front of you or behind you. It might make a lot of difference in your life. You see? But she was persistent. She did not get any money. She moved to Germany. That's when COVID broke, and her technology became the central piece that Pfizer came and took it and gave that vaccine. Of course, people died due to the vaccine. But if 99.9% get better, 0.1% is statistically not significant. You cannot talk about 0.1% and deny the vaccine to the 99.9%. So she was honored to get the prize. And here, she is bowing to the audience. As I said, she received the maximum ovation, because that is 1 year after the COVID. You can imagine the kind of impact the COVID had made to the world. And of course, her discovery had saved enormous lives, which is very important to know. This also I like to refer each time is Paul Nurse, who won the prize in 2001. And in 2001, he was probably 53 or 54. And after you win the Nobel Prize, everybody want to invite you. Please come, please come, please come. And he was invited by the American University. And he had to apply for a passport, and then not a passport visa. And he had to get, that university was also offering him some positions. So get a green card. And this guy had to write his parents' name in the form. At that age, he was living with her mother and grandmother. And this mother became pregnant at the age of 16 due to some illicit relationship with some man. And he was born due to that illicit relationship. When he was born, the mother was 16, and the grandmother, who was probably 50, 60 or so, grandmother said that, I am his mother. And the mother said, she is his sister. That's how he grew until he was 52 or 53. He didn't even know who is his mother and who is his sister. But his discovery is fantastic. He has done some phenomenal work. He's a great speaker. He's the president of Royal Society in UK. And he has written a book called What is Life? It's available in Amazon. Please read it. It will give you a meaning of what life is. Okay? What I'm trying to make is, we abuse people by their birth. We call them bastard or terminologies like that. And what do you call them? When they has made a discovery that saves lives, it makes you a very bad guy to call people with that name. So humans are humans. How they are born, it doesn't matter. But we distinguish people depending on their birth. Just because he is born out of wedlock, does he mean a bad guy? Idiot or stupid? No. So we make the discrimination, which is probably not the best way to address people. But he's a fantastic guy. I've met him. And this was when he came to give a lecture after his Nobel Prize. We invite them several times to come back to Stockholm and be a part of some of the Nobel activities. He's a great guy to talk to, fantastic. But of course, he is English. So we have to really hear very hard to listen to his accent. One of my most favorite is this. He won the prize last year. Omar Yagi. He was the one who did metal organic frameworks. This is the structure, 3D structure in chemistry, where you have these protein rods and cones, things like that, He created that, and he won the prize, and he was the star attraction, because in 1969 he was born, 1965 he was born, and his family were refugees from Palestine. And they were living in Jordan in a room with father, mother, 4 or 5 siblings, and including livestock in one room. That's what a refugee family could get at that time. And he was so fascinated by some lecture where he heard about the chemistry and structure. He got hooked to it. Then he went to America with some scholarship and did that. And his work is unbelievable. If you take, I mean, this is something that is described in Harry Potter books. There's something called Hermione's bag. If some of you have read Harry Potter, you will know. You can put everything inside your bag, the atmosphere. So that is exactly what it is in that metal organic framework. Say the oxygen that is filling this room, you can fit it into one small framework. Just imagine if you were to carry some of them to the moon, you can oxygenate the moon. Right? The implications are huge. And he has tested one of the equipments. Why is it not moving? He has tested one of the equipments in Saudi Arabian desert where it takes the water particles from the atmosphere and you have a pipe through which the water flows. So 3 or 4 liters of water can be obtained from that particular instrument, which uses this principal metal organic framework. So you can trap water, you can trap oxygen, you can trap so many things. You can imagine the kind of implication it has in so much that we do in our lives. So you can read about Omar Yagi and you can know more about what he has contributed to science. Just from his humble beginnings as a child from a refugee family, he has reached this height as something that what the life is throwing at you. Okay, you might have gone through the most toughest times in your life. Doesn't matter. When your time comes, you will get the reward. Which makes you think that whatever you have done, there is somebody upstairs. The God has to facilitate certain things to happen in certain way. Your boss has to be good, as I said. Your institution has to propose your name. Somebody has to nominate you. You see, so many steps you have to cross. And then you have to go through the process of nomination, get shortlisted, and finally win the prize. There must definitely be a God. So every year on the 9th of December, the Nobel Foundation organizes what is called the future. This one was future of life, the future we want. There are so many things that we need in our life and how the science helps. Many past Nobel laureates are invited to come and give a talk. If you search future, Nobel Week dialogue, many of those lectures, including Paul Nurse's talk on life, is available there. It'll be a fantastic thing to listen to in the YouTube lectures. And this is one of them, and this is a YouTube link that I pasted. This really opens your mind to tell you what is the most important stuff. Then coming to laureates from India, we always question why Indians don't get the prize. Okay, when we make the announcement for the Nobel Prize, of course, people write to the Nobel Committee emails, say 50% of the emails are from India. Oh, you are biased against Indians, what Indians are stupid, you don't deserve the prize, and things like that. For more than 15 years, we didn't receive a single nomination from India. So when we send the nomination request to some of the big names in India, it goes to the trash bin. Oh, we will not get it. I went and asked one guy, why didn't you nominate 2 years consecutively? And he put it in the trash bin. He said, doctor, we will not get the prize. Why waste time? No, I told him, you send 600 athletes to Olympics. You send 600 thinking each one of them is going to win a medal. 2 people win a medal. Why send only those 2 instead of 600? And he couldn't answer. So we need to nominate in order to, this is like, you cannot win a lottery prize without buying a lottery ticket. If you didn't get the prize, you cannot complain, you are not giving me the prize, because first you need to buy the ticket. Only then you can hope for the prize. This is a sad thing that many nominations from India don't happen. And now I make it a point that I can make 3 nominations of 3 people for each nomination. I try to make it from India. But the problem is finding them is very hard because we are not investing time and effort in discovery research. We should make a discovery or an invention for which your university should be supportive. You have to be curious in your mind to ask the right questions. As Chancellor said, it's very important to ask the right question. And your institutions support you to get the right answers. Not only that, that's the first step. But if you focus on something that you do not know and try to find the answer to what you do not know, that's where the beginning. If you do, somebody has done something in America, oh, I'm trying to Indianize it, reduce the cost, that doesn't work because that you are not actually the person who has made the discovery. So we have had several people, and some of the people, like Harba Gobind Khurrana, were actually Indian origin and not actually Indian citizen. Kailash Satyarthi, of course. Abhijit Banerjee is an American citizen. But some of them have done some phenomenal contributions, I hope. But for instance, if you want to know, as I told you, Mahatma Gandhi was nominated for Peace Prize 12 times. And our former President Radhakrishnan was nominated more than 10 times in the peace category and maybe for several times in the literature category. So it's not that Indians are not nominated. At that time, it had happened. But recently, nobody is even nominating. I mean, you can see people are either jealous or stupid or they have some wrong thinking in their mind. Say, oh, we will not get it. Why do we have to waste our time? They will spend enough time in the YouTube, but not take enough time to put together some points. So, what we learn from the Nobel Prize, knowledge in society, societies that have invested in research-based knowledge have prospered. Because universities are not just teaching institutions. They are institutions that create new knowledge. Of course, you can translate the new knowledge into a patent into a company, and then make a product that reaches the people. But the institution's goal, not just teaching, but create new knowledge, which is research, basically. So, to achieve such knowledge, it should be not looked upon as a cost, but as an investment. Oh, it costs too much, I cannot. But if you think at it as an investment, put the right money at the right place, the outcome can be phenomenal. Of course, if you don't like research-based knowledge, one can try ignorance. And you can see this old man, probably in his 90s. See him carrying the books. So there is no knowledge is everywhere. You need to have the hunger for knowledge, new knowledge. Then we are on the right path. And this is also something I would like to emphasize in India, to the Indian scientists or researchers, that your passion to create new knowledge is important and your belief is important. If you think this is right, if everybody else around you says, no, it's terrible, and if you think it's right, go after it. The curiosity is very important, okay? You will get the right breaks at the right time to make sure your curiosity gets the answer. This is the award we give as a medal, which is what we call Nobel medal to the laureates. And this is how it looks like for the medicine prize. And very interestingly, all the people who had won the Nobel Prize contribute something that had helped them win the Nobel Prize to the Nobel Museum. So if you happen to visit Stockholm, please go and visit the Nobel Museum. And there you have so many things on display. You can see a cycle standing at the top there. That is the cycle Amartya Sen was using in Shantiniketan, where he did much of the work that got him the Nobel Prize. They have a slate, the slate that you use with the white chalk. Tagore wrote Geetanjali in that slate. He had donated that slate to the Nobel Museum. This slate is there. This only gives you inspiration. With such primitive things, they made some great things, great contributions. So if you look at it, you can see a lot of such discoveries. Okay? And of course, when you have a museum, which is quite big, I'm only shown a picture a little small because the cycle is visible. There is a cafeteria, and you have a lot of these chairs. But these chairs are very interesting. If you take the chair and turn it upside down, each year the laureates who win the prize sign at the bottom of the chair. So you might be sitting on the chair in which some laureate had won the prize. So you might find suddenly somebody lifting the chair and looking under. You might find this something very peculiar, but they are trying to see whose signature is on the bottom of the chair in which you're sitting. Okay, all the interesting discoveries and the contributions or items that were donated to the library is all very nicely documented in this book called Cultures of Creativity. This is published by the Nobel Museum. It should also be available on the internet. And each page there is a picture and a description of what it is. The penicillin that was discovered by Alexander Fleming, the first petri dish is there in the museum with all the fungus growing, and one particular area the fungus is not growing. So some of these phenomenal things are there when Abhijit Banerjee and his wife, French lady Esther Duflo, won the prize for economics. Abhijit Banerjee wear that, in Tamil called Panchagacham, the vesti, and a jubba and a jacket, which was old in the old-fashioned times. People have a jacket on top of dhoti. That's what he wore. And his wife, a French lady, she wore a sari to receive the prize. And they found a man and queen and dressed that man and queen with the sari that she wore and dressed the man with this dress that Abhijit Banerjee wore, and it was a display. Because this is not what you normally wear. When you go for the Nobel banquet or the Nobel Prize ceremony, you can wear a tuxedo, and the women should wear a long dress up to the ankle. But if you are abroad, you are most welcome to wear your national dress. So you have had many people in sari come there. And Esther Duflo was in a sari. Of course, if you look back, Sir C.V. Raman, when he came to receive the prize, he was more or less dressed like Abhijit Banerjee. Maybe Abhijit Banerjee got the inspiration by looking at some of the pictures of Sir C.V. Raman. So this is something that you should visit Stockholm. Please go to the library. And if you come during the first week of November, you should be able to attend the Nobel Prize lectures. But if you cannot, they are all streamed live on the internet. So if there's anything I can help you with, I'll be happy to share information. You can share those questions through your Vice Chancellor. So I will end this talk now. I have hundreds of stories to tell. One thing that I have not told you is about Gandhi not getting the prize. Maybe I'll leave it for another time. And I thank you very much for your patient listening. I hope this caused some influence in your motivation and creativity for the young minds. I hope we come and this institution, as your Chancellor had wished, produces the Nobel Prize laureate. Thank you very much. Thank you. Over to you. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to take. I know some of the standard questions that come, but if there are anything, I'll be happy to answer. So someone can coordinate the questions. Does anybody want to ask a question? Yes, you need a mic. I don't think I can hear you from there.
Can you please explain why the nomination cannot be accepted when the nominee has passed away?
See, the rule is defined by Alfred Nobel. And in his will, he has stated that it cannot be given posthumously. So that will has to be followed because it is a prize constituted by Alfred Nobel, not by the government of Sweden or anybody else. So the prize is given as per the instructions he has left in his will. Why it should not be given? Then you have millions and millions of people. You can pick somebody from 1800 or 1700 and give them a Nobel Prize. You won't even know who to go and who will come and receive the prize. So they have to be living person. That's one of the things mentioned in his will. That's the basis for such a rule. Anybody asking any questions? Yes, please.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Dr. V. Sedurama, Department of Orthopedics, working from the Helix Lab. I want to ask, nobody can prevent our knowledge. We may poor, but nobody can prevent our knowledge. Still, from the India, we cannot work the single topic for the 20 years. So we face the struggle, how we can overcome. And this situation, how we can obtain or we can apply for the prize.
This is a situation many doctors face everywhere in the world. Okay, I'll give just one example. We produce doctors at Karolinska Institute. But if you ask the question, how many doctors go to do PhD? Very few, very, very few. 1 in a million. Whereas 25% of all doctors graduating from the universities in Sweden get a PhD. They go forward. 25%. Okay, nobody in the world, nowhere in the world you can match this number. So the hunger to do research should come from you, number one. And you should find time to do that. Number two, and of course your institution provide you with the facilities to help you. But the problem with India is that the institution owned the discovery, not the individual, which is little different compared to Sweden. Not just Sweden, it's in Nordic countries, it's the same rule. So if you do your hard work, an institution takes the credit or ownership, and somebody in the institution does not even think it should be patented and let it go. So your motivation is in the hands of somebody else, basically. Anything is possible. You need to find the right kind of. See, the doctors sometimes need not have to work 100%. Many doctors there work 50% in the hospital and do 50% research. That's possible. So that kind of flexibility, if it is available, that will help you. I'm not complaining about anything, but I'm sharing how things work there. So you can do it. You just have to have the drive, motivation. Yeah, I want to do it. I want to do something, and then it's possible. Yes. Thank you. Excuse me.
Prestigious institution in India are nominating.
See, I cannot tell whom we send the nominations. You might go and ask them why you didn't nominate. Okay. Some of the people who did not nominate, maybe your vice chancellor might know them personally. We maintain certain level of confidentiality. If I nominate, I don't tell anybody whom I nominate. I have to live for 50 more years to know whom I had nominated. Otherwise, it becomes a problem. I requested your vice chancellor not to put any of this in the social media. Because some years ago, somebody came with a letter from the President of India saying, please nominate, and this guy is absolutely not even there for nomination. When this happens, you are under unnecessary pressure to nominate people who don't even have the qualification to be nominated. So I requested him, please don't put it in the social, but you can make a flyer and circulate it within the university. This is a problem. So we don't tell who they are nominated. But if there is some phenomenal work, yes, it requires nomination. Say, for instance, somebody who made the stent for the first time, cardiac stent. You know what a phenomenal discovery it is? They still haven't got the Nobel Prize. But hopefully we'll get the prize sometime. That's a fantastic device, and you don't have to open the heart, open the chest to put the stent, and navigating that stent from your femoral artery to the coronary arteries is a challenge, and we have overcome that. Now the stent quality so much advances have taken, but the first stent that was made, put there, is the one that led to so many newer things. Now you have drug elutable tens, you have platinum iridium stent. So many things have come from that innovation. But the first one matters. And you should have that courage to take the first one and do it. Of course, you need to have enough scientific validation to do it. Are there people doing it in India? I don't know. But I'm trying to find them. If I find them, I lock onto them. But there are good discoveries. I'm making those nominations. So it's not that it is not there. But the person who should make the nomination should know them or should become aware of their work. If you are doing work in isolation and nobody knows what you're doing, that's not a good idea. So people should know, and then they will know, okay, this is a fantastic thing that could be nominated. And you must, of course, tell your Vice Chancellor what you have done, and he can be eligible to receive the nomination and make the nomination. Sir, you will make the nomination? See, you have a very enthusiastic Vice Chancellor who wants to do something good. Yeah, that's where it is. Yeah. Any questions? Any more? Yes, please.
Sir, Dr. Tu Yu received Nobel Prize for anti-BCNA based therapy, which is artesunate for treating malaria, about a few years back. So WHO says that this discovery is really, really great. We all know it has saved multiple lives of plasmodium falciparum patients, cerebral malaria patients all across, particularly in Africa. But there is a bigger discovery which went unrecognized. Again, in preventing the deaths due to malaria, because I have worked in vector-borne diseases a lot. The insecticide-treated bed nets.
Insecticide-treated?
Treated bed nets. Bed nets.
Okay.
Simple net. It is used for centuries. Net. But when it is laced with the insecticide, it is now we have advanced technology. It gets the particles, the insecticides get embedded into the fiber itself, and this lasts for 3 years. And this is a simple tool which millions of nets have been distributed all across the world, particularly in Africa also. It prevented several lives and of course morbidity, mortality and all. But it went unrecognized. I worked with Professor Chris Curtis in the London School of Tropical Medicine and Hygiene way back in 2000, and I found that he was the first man to have tried impregnation of net manually. But of course he died because of skin cancer. But this discovery has never been talked about, and somebody should have nominated. But it has prevented 60% of the deaths that have been prevented.
I understand your question. The point is, what is the invention?
The use of insecticide on the net,
Right.
which serves as a net is a mechanical barrier.
Right.
And when you add on the chemical on it, the insecticide, it is chemical and as well as mechanical barrier, which when the mosquito sits on the net, actually it dies.
I mean, it's fantastic. I'm not saying it's not worthy. It is definitely worthy. Sometimes we are faced with a situation where there are several ideas converge, and each idea is a discovery, and each idea by itself is not enough. But when you put them together, that is the important part in terms of bringing benefit to the mankind. There Again, because of Alfred Nobel, well, it has to be less than 3 or 3 or less than 3. If the discoveries that converge, it's more than 3, then it might not have been considered. But when you look at, say, for instance, MRI scan that won the Nobel Prize, that is hundreds of patents that have come together to make that machine. But who thought of it? Who put those ideas together? He probably gets the benefit rather than one individual component that's been discovered. There's something called Google Mind. You might have read it. It is about protein structures that you are doing with artificial intelligence. And one of the guy, Demis Hassabis, won the Nobel Prize for chemistry for Google Mind. And now you can go back for the Google Mind to work. You have certain things that contribute in terms of software, in terms of hardware. Certain technologies have been developed in order to make that possible, and use those technologies to create what is called as protein. I don't know, it's engine or something like that, where you can make discovery of all the proteins and pick the ones that are more relevant. So artificial intelligence make. Now Demis Hassabis got it because he put it all together, and he is still continuing his work. Sometimes it's a challenge to find out who actually should deserve the prize in that combination. Sometimes, if it is a chemical item, it should goes to the chemistry committee to review. Um, so sometimes it happens like that. But what I would love to mention is that if there are fantastic I don't want to I want to use the right terminology, herbal medicine, just like what Professor Yu did for artemisinin. If we have documented the benefit of that particular herbal medicine to cure diseases or treat and save lives, we should bring it up and make it visible. Yeah, you got it, but similar ones from India. Say in herbal medicine, we are talking about Ayurveda, Siddha, homeopathy, so many different forms of herbal medicine is there. But many of them we always cite our ancient literature. But why can't we pick up something that has been developed that has real cost, bring broad benefit? So there is plenty of room that opened the door for herbal medicine, and we can exploit that door in picking up. I have done some background work and I've got a herbal medicine nominated also. I can't tell you what it is and what benefit it had brought to what particular disease, yes. But if that knowledge should become more visible. Yeah, thank you. Please talk to the mic.
Sir, if there are two parallel inventions about the same thing, different parts of the world, and one has nominated and one has not nominated.
See, whenever you make a discovery, you have to publish it. When you publish it, that comes with the date and the time in the journal. If there is a publication that is only a few months apart, that's fine. But if it is few years apart, then you'll have to investigate and see who made the first one. Okay, so your publication becomes important. So as I said in the beginning, you must have been the first one to have published it. Okay, if you forget to publish, it's bad luck. Okay, and the timing also is important. It's okay if it is few months apart. Okay, there doesn't seem to be any questions, and I thank you very much for your invitation and my time here.
Thank you very much, Professor Sanjeevi, for that truly enlightening and inspiring lecture. Your insights into the Nobel Prize selection process, coupled with your rich scientific experience, have given us a rare glimpse into the pursuit of excellence in biomedical research. We are grateful for your time and for sharing your wisdom with us, sir. It is now time to express our sincere gratitude to everyone who made this event memorable. I invite our beloved Vice Principal, Dr. R. Kannan, sir, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, respected dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. I am very happy. I feel very elated to propose the vote of thanks. First of all, I like to thank the Almighty for making the function grand success. I thank our Chancellor, Pro-Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, Dean Madam, and Director from SSC Madam, and all the dignitaries for attending the function and making the function grand success. I'd like to thank especially our chief guest, Dr. Chanjeevi sir. Sir, you took all of us to a different world. That is, we all felt that we were in Stockholm actually, and we had the golden opportunity. Maybe I will tell it's a lifetime experience that people who miss this function definitely will feel. That is what I felt personally. That this is a very grand. I felt as if I was in the Nobel laureate function, which you have shared your entire life experience. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation and making the function grand success. You have inspired all of us, particularly not only the youngsters, all the researchers who have gathered here, and all of us to think what is happening and what we should do in the next span of life. Maybe one of us will get, I'll be very happy that one of us will get in this audience a Nobel Prize in future. Thank you very much, sir. Maybe all of us can give a standing ovation once again to sir. Thank you very much, sir, for making the function grand success, and it's an excellent time, and we all felt delighted and very happy, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And I thank all the researchers, all the faculties, and all the students who made the function grand success once again. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. As we come to the end of this memorable academic event, I request everyone to kindly rise for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you. Kindly be seated. I request the audience to kindly be seated and maintain silence until the dignitaries leave the hall. Thank you, sir. Thank you.